September 14th, 2023. Loddy and Mac on the cul-de-sac being blown off tonight by the Don Father, the Commish, and Angry Jay.
Where's all our boys?
They blew us off. Mike Croc, studio guest, always here, loyal.
Sorry. We got Crocker.
Studio technician Kevin Ross in the house. Tonight we welcome a special guest, 11-year Major League veteran, Darren Bragg. Before we get to that, we want to thank our sponsors. Skygazer Brewing is basically our only one at this point who keeps sending in the checks.
Well, they're the only ones that are still around. We still got a lot of support, but they're not local anymore. I mean, Chiz is at UConn.
A long way away. We're branching out though. We've got new ones. We've got things in the works. We'll be back. As we start every program, what is this all about? Well, first of all, we're thinking about changing our name. We've got some ideas. Have you ever heard John Sterling's call? It is high. It is far. It is gone, which is about 50% with nowadays. I think that's a good possible title. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Or the John Sterling Podcast.
We got to see what the listeners think.
Okay.
We'll throw a poll out there.
How about when a Yankee hit a bomb recently into the second deck, and he said, second deck. Second deck sports.
I don't know what you mean.
Possibility. I mean, he hit the ball far out of
that's what you mean. Okay.
Into the deck past the first deck. Anyway, name change coming. I believe this is the first show that will be on Spotify. Executive producer AJ Bunnell, the Round Mound of Sound, he's on that one. The Yanks, I thought we were back. I thought we were back even with Cashman. The Martian came up and he went nuts. But they teased us, or he teased us. He belongs in the big leagues. I thought he may be him. Like, if we have two hims judging him, we're onto something.
Well, when he got hurt, that was the last straw. I wasn't watching a lot of games anymore anyway. But when he got hurt, there's no reason to watch. And unfortunately, he's getting Tommy John next week. And even for a position player, they're saying 9-10 months, which for the Yanks might be 2 years. I mean, Harper came back in 5 or 6 months. If this kid's back by the All-Star break, I'll be pleasantly surprised with as conservative as the organization is. But he was a reason to watch, pretty much.
Well, as far as Harper goes, like, I know bodies are different, mindsets are different. Why can't every position player come back in that time and just not throw the ball? He came back as a DH.
Well, we can't have him at DH, Bobby Mack, because we have your boy, Giancarlo Stanton.
Not my boy, but I do have a solution to that coming later in the broadcast.
Okay.
All right. The other young kids they're not him, but they're like kind of him. Like, they're better than the other guys. Volpe, Mr. Senior Strikeout, he's going to be a great second baseman. We're going to teach him hit to the opposite field. We got to put Peraza at short next year. Cabrera's got to find a home somewhere, even if he's like the master utility man.
Ben Zobrist, absolutely.
Give everybody one day off, and Cabrera plays that spot. I think the kid Pereira needs a chance. And I don't care if Wells couldn't catch a cold. He's got to be the catcher.
Matt Noakes couldn't catch either. 32 bombs a year with the Yank.
I've seen Noakes catch him with his wrist and his chest protector, but he hit bombs.
Mike Stanley couldn't catch either. He did okay.
And Wells is handsomer than freaking...
They got to play him all.
Noakes looked like... We took his mask off. It looked like his uniform threw up.
When Jim Abbott threw that no-hitter and Noakes' mask came off, I'm like, ooh.
Put it back on.
What is that?
Give me a Ron Karkovice, please.
Whoa. That's pretty bad.
So the Martian, 8 for 31. 2 doubles, 3 home runs. Only a 258 clip, but if he's going to hit for power like that, he has a stolen base too. I mean, we need him. We need him. It was like anything bad that can happen will, and like it did. We had our guy. We had a guy. Him and Judge would have made a healthy Rizzo. He would have made Stanton into Stanton. You're not buying that one. Volpe down in the lineup, whatever. Okay, let's shift gears to pitching. So the Cash Clown is now on a worldwide tour. He went over to see Yamamoto's no-hitter, 25-year-old phenom. And here's what the Yanks say. Now, every team's going to bid for him. And there's, 8 that can get him? Mm-hmm. They said they're keeping an eye on the young star. To me, that's a classic LOL comment. Young? He's 25. These guys that are being drafted, and this guy from LSU or whatever, he's up there right away. 25 is young?
And don't those guys pitch 6-man rotations, too, in Japan? Yeah. So... how soon before he's hurt because he's pitching once every 5 days in the States.
We'll get back to that. All right, Trout. Yankee fans are squawking.
There's a lot of rumblings about that.
What do you think? I think the only way is if the Angels took Stanton in return, and then we pay all of Trout and some of Stanton.
Well, I'll sign me up for that, but that's not going to happen. They're going to want. Well, if they would have wanted the Martian. They're not going to take him now, probably. But they would want every other. Volpe would be in the conversation.
Give him away. I'll take Peraza. He strikes out too much.
I would get rid of. As much as I don't want to get rid of Volpe, but if you're telling me Mike Trout's coming to the Yanks,
Volpe, and they could take one more. Volpe, one more, and Stanton. We'll pay Stanton. We'll pay half of Stanton.
Anything that gets Stanton off the roster, I'm all for it.
That makes our outfield Dominguez, the Martian, Trout, and Judgy.
Yeah.
Maybe we can score a freaking run. But wouldn't that be like us to finally sign somebody and have him be right-handed? Anyway, it is Mike Trout, and he is hurt all the time. It'd be a perfect Yankee
Hey,
sign.
you know that when Cashman went to go see the pitcher, what day that was in Yankee Land? It was Old Timers Day. You think that was by coincidence that he was a million miles away?
When the Core 4 was there?
And maybe didn't want to get, not that they would have introduced the GM on Old Timers Day, but maybe because all those ex-Yanks didn't want to see that guy. None of them like him. None of them. Jeter, top of the list. What do you think about that?
Loddy?
Coincidence?
I haven't thought about that.
I have.
Now I'm not going to think about anything but that.
I thought about it. That's the first thing that I thought of.
I was just when you started to say, I'm like, how could he not be there for the Core 4? Core 4 don't want him there.
They don't want him there. You think Posada, Jeets want him there? No way. Wells doesn't want him there. Did you hear Wells' comments about how soft the organization is?
No, I didn't see that.
You got to check it out. Crocker heard it. Ross heard it.
Speaking of soft, if Cashman sticks around, he's got to get rid of the medical and training staff. And if not, can we just get rid of him anyway? Either way, they got to go. So this year, we got an undiagnosed concussion where the guy played for weeks. 6 hamstrings, 4 Tommy Johns.
Wait a minute, is this true?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 Tommy Johns. 1 a non-pitcher. An oblique, a groin, rotator cuff, quad, calf, lat, tears in the elbows and toes, inflammation in multiple body parts.
And Bobby Mack, that was only Giancarlo Stanton. How about everybody? How about everybody else?
All right, significant missed time for guys in the picture coming out of spring training.
Okay.
Significant missed time for these guys.
Okay.
Stanton leading the charge. Rizzo, Judgy, the Master, and Trevino. The Master, it's Harrison.
Donaldson, when he was there.
I don't even count him. But, geez, you're right. I forgot him. Pitchers. Now, just starting pitchers. Significant time missed. Just Rodon, Cortez, Dominguez, and, not Dominguez, Herman, and Severino. You freaking kidding me? Now, we need these guys? Get out of here. We got to have them. The guys can't keep them on the field. Like when
it makes you appreciate Cole, huh? Never misses a start, and it also makes you appreciate Gleyber Torres. And I'm not a Gleyber guy.
You're right.
He's been their best offensive player all year, and he plays every stinking day.
You know what?
There's something to be said for that.
I'm gonna give you that one, and I would have loved to kick them in the hiney on the way out. Now I'll open the door. I'll even open his car door for him.
He's still not a free agent. They got him for one more year.
I don't want a non-hustler. So And if we got Peraza, like he got to play.
I got no problem with getting rid of Torres. I'm just saying he's very bashable, but the guy plays every day and he's produced at the plate. In terms of running the bases, his IQ and defense, that's a whole nother story. They're batting .225 as a team. Imagine if he wasn't playing this year.
Well, imagine if all those guys I talked about played.
Yeah, but
Get out of
that's
here,
the
man.
problem.
They got to play.
You and Angry Jay have always talked about it. I don't care what the stats are. If you're not dependable in playing, it doesn't matter. I'd rather have a guy that plays every day and bats .250 than a guy that plays 90 games a year and bats .270.
We used to complain about Teixeira. I'd take him right now.
We used to complain about Brett Gardner.
Brett the Jet, I love him.
Played every game. Never hurt.
So if we get Trout, just want to throw this out there to you. I got a lineup. And this is not including the DH, and you can insert the DH wherever you want, and it won't be Stanton because we get rid of him. Ready?
I'm listening.
Trout, Judge, Dominguez,
In the outfield. Okay.
Rizzo. We signed Gio. Free agent.
Sign who?
Gio.
Urshela?
Uh-huh. Free agent. But you get him on it cheap compared to... I don't want to start.
Because he got hurt this year, so I don't know how severe that is, but okay.
Wells behind the dish. Volpe.
And Peraza up the middle.
Peraza.
You win some games with that team.
You still get to substitute or stick in a DH there somewhere.
It might end up being Dominguez because he can't throw, but he can hit.
Then give me Cabrera.
And then Cabrera and Pereira platoon or something.
Okay, so then your rotation goes Cole, Rodon, Yamamoto. No, that's not a thing. That's a real thing.
I
dude.
know. It's just funny to hear it.
Nestor, Schmitty,
Or
unless you want to go out and re-sign Jordan Montgomery.
I'll take Monty back, and I'll take Mike King as a starter.
I love King.
The arms are not a problem, and they got a ton of arms down below that we could talk about on another show. Got to get sticks in the offseason, and I said it probably a year ago to this day. Got to get sticks, and they didn't get them last year. So, bat 225 as a team, a point less than Oakland. It's incredible.
Okay, that's enough Yankee baseball.
Yep. Wait. Crocker's got a little update on a Red Sox, something that happened today. Big news. And I want you to compare what happened in Fenway Land to what we do at Yankee Stadium. Crocker.
Is it really big news that Chain Bloom got released?
It is for me.
It is for
And
you,
I'll tell
just
you
in
why
comparison to
after.
what's going on with the Yankees.
Yep.
But yeah, he did. I thought he did a good job rebuilding the minor leagues. We were hurting for a couple of
Agreed.
years. He rebuilt it, but a lot of people focus on the Mookie Betts thing, but I don't really think that was his decision.
He got let go today.
So after 4 years, restocked the system, and we got the same guy for the past, 20 plus years.
So I also heard Theo was spotted in Boston like yesterday or today. Does that have something to do with that?
Are you just making that up?
I'm not making it up. I saw it on the
I
app
was
called
hoping you'd
X.
say he was in the Bronx at Billy's or something.
Susie
Stance?
Wellman. She could introduce him.
There's Theo.
I think Theo was at Stanley's.
Oh, I know Stanley's.
Yeah.
Jeez, well, Crocker, that does tell the story. One team wants to make change, another team doesn't. As the great Eric O'Toole said, nothing changes unless something changes.
That's profound. I mean, thanks for coming, Eric.
So the only thing we got left in Yankee Red Sox land, and it actually is kind of cool, who will finish in last place. And it is a knockdown drag out to the finish here. I believe today we're going to pull ahead by one unless we gave it up while we were on the air.
It's 5-4.
Oh, God. We're going
It's tied going into tonight's game, correct?
Yeah.
Bottom of 7th.
Oh, we got a long ways to
Yankees got 5 runs.
go. Judge a grand slam.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
You
4.
saw it.
I mean the captain.
All right. So enough of that.
Crocker.
All right. Introducing a studio guest we've been looking forward to having via phone notes today on a call-in interview is the Greater Waterbury Zone, 11-year major leaguer, Red Sox, Met, Yankee. Darren Bragg, welcome to Loddy and Max Sports on the Cul-de-sac Sports. Waterbury, Wolcott, Watertown's own Darren Bragg. Heck of a major league career by way of Georgia Tech, Wolcott, Taft. And Darren, we just want to start and just do a brief introduction to your career by talking about your background. Now, coming from Wolcott, we'll skip all that little kid stuff. What made you go to Taft? What made you take your talents to Taft?
Just luck, basically. My grandmother worked there, so I visited there a couple times. Had a local kid from Wolcott who went there, so I was friends with him and kind of just introduced me to it. So, it just kind of happened.
Who was your coach at Taft?
Larry Stone and Joe Bronya, pretty much the majority of the time for the sports that I played.
Now, guys, for anyone out there who doesn't know,
Yeah, that just rang a bell with me.
I mentioned Rico Brogna's father. Did you guys play Legion together? Am I right about that? Rico and you in the same lineup?
Yeah, we had Rico, and we had a kid by the name of Mike Desjardins, local. Bobby Boisvert. We had some good players, dude, on that team.
That's awesome. What other sports did you play besides baseball?
Football and basketball. So I did 3 sports in high school, pretty much my whole life.
What position you play in football?
Running back and safety in football, and guard in basketball. Nice to be able to kind of combine the different sports.
Oh, it's awesome. I think more kids should be doing that today. They're becoming specialists.
Yeah, I think schedule-wise, it's forcing them to choose, which is kind of difficult choices for them to make at a young age.
I'm glad that wasn't like that when I was a kid. There's a famous story of you and Mo Vaughn meeting up on the football field while you were a prep star. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, we definitely. He's the same thing. He was a 3-sport guy in high school, and for 3 years we faced each other. For all 3 seasons, and his school dominated basketball, which was Trinity Pong at the time. Baseball is pretty much 50-50. Obviously, baseball is that kind of sport where anybody could beat anybody, depending on who you have on a mound. And then football, we dominated him at football. So it was a fun little rivalry. It was able to play with him and then be a teammate of him with him in Boston, and then play against him some more down the road. He's a solid teammate.
There's a legendary story of you meeting him in the hole at one point. Is this true?
Oh, yeah, we definitely, he was a linebacker, a fullback, and I was a running back and a safety, so many collisions. However, things as they draw out get kind of exaggerated. It's just a funny story. Somehow, when we were in Tampa Bay, and there's many sides to this story and, many truths, right? But somehow it got put up on the big screen that I had knocked him out at one time when we hit each other in the hole, dude, and it went up on the board, dude, and it was hilarious because everybody in the team saw it, and it was just a big joke, and Mo kind of got upset about it, but I thought it was funny, and basically, I don't know how it got up there, dude, but it's just a tale, dude. It never really happened. It was just kind of a joke, but the joke turned into fact after a while, I guess.
Are you saying you had nothing to do with it getting up on the board?
I'm saying I misremember a lot of things. I'm getting old.
That's great.
I'm definitely getting old.
All right.
But as far as Mo Vaughn's concerned, I had 100% to do with it, so maybe he's right, dude.
All right, so you move on from Taft, and
some good stuff there, dude.
You land a spot on Georgia Tech. You had some awesome teammates there. Can you just talk about your teammates and your experience in the ACC?
In the where?
In the ACC with Georgia Tech.
Oh, Georgia Tech. Yeah, Georgia Tech. We had some great teams down there. I got a chance to play at Veritech, was probably really the only recognizable name Nomar had come the year after. I took him on the recruiting trip, so I locked him in there. That was my job. I did my job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Moving along, can you speak of your experience on the national team in 1990? Had a chance to look at that roster. Not a ton of everyday names, just a handful played in the big leagues, and you were one of them. Can you talk about your experience playing? Did you play in Cuba?
Yeah. We went down. We had a set in Tennessee against Cuba, and then we went down to Cuba and played on their islands, and that was quite an experience because it was a first time playing in front of 30,000 plus, right? You know, because when USA goes down there to play Cuba in baseball, their stadium's packed, and it was it's quite a madhouse, and it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun, and that whole summer of traveling. We hit Japan, Canada, all across the United States, Cuba, and finished up the summer in the Goodwill Games out in Seattle. And it's a great experience. Like you said, it wasn't like, any household names came out of there, but a lot of those guys, got a few years in the big leagues that had nice careers,
Darren, your great amateur career led you to the 1991 MLB draft where you got selected by Seattle. This was before the internet and social media and stuff like that. Did you know ahead of time that Seattle was interested in kind of what round you were going to be picked in, and how did that come about? How did you find out?
Yeah, that was no idea. Obviously that was 90s, early 90s. So got a phone call. I'm pretty sure it was in my dorm room at college. And basically said I got drafted by Seattle, which was kind of shocking at the time because I always thought I was going to play for the Yankees, which I eventually did for a little cup of coffee. But, it's your dream as a kid. You want to play for the team you grew up rooting for. And that was what I thought. So I'm like, Seattle. So how's this work? And at the time, Seattle was not a very popular team. But, lo and behold, man, 4 years later, we're in the American League Championship. And we got one of the best teams in baseball. And I got to play with, go on Junior and learn from Junior and Jay Buhner and all those guys, man. So I was blessed in the long run. So it was a lot of fun.
Darren, definitely going to jump back to that squad, but what was a bigger day for you? The day you learned you got drafted in the amateur draft, or your 1994 debut with the Mariners?
I'd probably say debut, for sure, just because the draft I just thought was just kind of procedure at the time. It was kind of expected. You just didn't know where you were going or what was happening. But then, actually, I remember, when I first showed up in spring training my first year, and I'm walking around complex. I walk by a AAA field. These guys are taking BP, and they're literally hitting balls over the center field back screen. And I'm like, all right, if these guys are in AAA, I have no chance of getting to the big leagues because these guys are crushing the ball. It turned out like one of the guys was Edgar Martinez. Another guy was this name of Patrick Lennon, who ended up being, a guy who made a lot of money in Japan, but was always, and another guy, Alonzo Powell, who made some money in Japan. And all three of those guys were actually known to be great hitters at just the time they were still in AAA.
Is that Tacoma?
Right. Yeah, that was. No, at the time, I think that was Calgary back then. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Calgary back then. It's Tacoma now.
Yeah, so Darren, you did talk about some of the guys you played with at Seattle, whether it was Tino and Edgar and Griffey and Buhner, but guys like Bobby Mack and me, we started, following the Yankees as kids in the late 70s, early 80s, and one of our guys was Sweet Lou Piniella. Can you talk a little bit about his managerial style? Did you like playing for him? And just tell us a little bit about your relationship with Lou.
Yeah, I think I'm with you and Bobby Mack in the sense that Lou. I was a big Lou fan. I was a big Yankee fan. It was the late 70s too, and Lou and those Yankees, he was crazy. You know, Billy
Yep.
Martin is who he learned from, and that whole group, man, it was crazy. And even baseball in the '70s. I mean, you start looking back on these YouTube videos and guys sliding in the second,
Yeah,
and
different
stuff
game.
like this. I mean, yeah, it was hardball, and it was that's how you played. So Lou managed the same way. So it worked for me because I knew him and I respected him already. He didn't have to go above and beyond. So it motivated me. He got the most out of me, and that's what managers are supposed to do. So I love him. Other players had difficulty with it. He's a tough manager to play for, but you need thick skin, and if you don't have it, he's going to get you out of there pretty quick. So he's fun to play for, man.
You already talked a little bit about a tough day in our lives as diehard Yankee fans back in October of '95 when Griffey slid across home plate against the Yanks. But in '96, I just happened to be at Yankee Stadium on May 14th for Doc Gooden's no-hitter, and you were leading off. And in that game, even though I was at the stadium, I never really felt like he was throwing a no-hitter or had that kind of stuff because he was walking a ton of guys. He might have had 6 or 7 walks. Did you have a feeling like first of all, do you guys have a sense when someone's pitching a no-hitter in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, and did you sense that he had that kind of stuff that night?
Yeah, I think it's like, before you knew it, it was like the 5th inning or something, and we're like, Jesus, we got no hits. You know what I mean? It's kind of like no one really talks about it. But then you're like, yeah, I think we all thought the same. It was just like he was all over the place. But the one thing he was doing that night, man, he was getting that curveball over for strikes, man. He was throwing it at will at any time.
Yeah, Lord Charles was working that night.
Yeah, and it's like with Nolan Ryan, when those guys, Doc and Nolan, they probably had 2 of the best curveballs ever in baseball. And when those guys rolled that curveball, it was pretty much, lights out, no-hitter type shit. And that's why Nolan's got all his no-hitter, one-hitters, shutouts, and Doc, is right up there with him. He just wasn't fortunate enough with as many no-hitters. I don't know if that was his only one or did he get one with the Mets. I'm not even sure. I think he might have, but...
Were you the one that hit the one hopper off Tino's chest, or was it Sorrento?
No, I hit it, as a ricochet into the stands for a ground rule double, but they called it an error.
That's right.
It was
right.
him.
I remember that.
Yeah.
We had a debate whether it was you or Sorrento.
Yeah, no, it's definitely me because I just remember at the time, like, please someone get a hit because I know they'll change this shit, but they're just not going to change it. And then, ends up throwing a no-hitter. So, and at the end of the day, dude, it works out better because every once in a while you get to watch, a couple at-bats when I was in my 20s, dude, which is fun. Dude.
Oh, that's great. So
most of I get a call from some of my buddies or something. Yeah, I just watched you on TV against Doc or something, so.
That's special. Hey, Darren, when you became a regular, player with the Mariners, you were wearing number 56. I know you wore it later in your career with somebody else. I don't remember. Any significance with that number? I mean, I'm thinking Lawrence Taylor. I don't know if you're a Giants guy.
It was definitely the LT and the Giants. I was, I was always a bigger football fan than I was baseball. Even playing, I always enjoyed playing football more than baseball. It's just obviously I wasn't a Deion Sanders or a Bo Jackson where I could play both. I was lucky enough to just be able to play one at a high level. So LT, I just liked how he played the game. He went recklessly, he played with everything he got, and like it was his last play every game. And it's kind of try to play the game of baseball like it was, my last day on the field. This is it. Let's give it everything you got.
Darren, do you think the average major league player approaches the game the same way as you just described today?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough to say, man, because it's a program now, and it's even sometimes if they want to take, if they want to play, they're not allowed to sometimes. So, they got to kind of follow through with the program, and I think in the long run, their careers are going to go a little bit longer and last a little bit longer because they take care of themselves a little bit better. And then, I think they got to look out for themselves in that regard. So, it's a fine line to balance, man. You know, between longevity and giving everything you got, because it's hard to do both. And I think running backs in the NFL are like a case in point.
Oh my God,
their careers are 5 years, 4 years. Why? Because they give it everything they got in every play, and guess what? You can only do that so much, you know, and your body's only going to handle so much. So
it's good to hear your perspective on it.
It's a different game for sure, dude. It's definitely a different game for many reasons, though. Not just one.
You've been between the lines, so it's good to hear your perspective on it because it does frustrate the average fan. I mean, they want to see the guys play. We heard a rumor. I don't think it's a rumor. I think it's fact. I'd love you to confirm it. There's a player on the Blue Jays who's a household name endeared to Connecticut, and I guess he has like something attached to him which reads every time he runs at maximum performance, and as soon as he gets to a certain amount of steps, he's taking the next day off. Is that type of stuff true? Because I know it's true with college athletes. I see them wearing those monitors all the time.
Yeah, sure it is, and that's what I mean by it. Yeah, and so even if guys want to do things at certain times, they're not allowed to, and it's just how you're going to run your organization, and a lot of people just want to run on the numbers because sometimes they feel like if you go by feel, you get in trouble. But it's a great discussion to have.
Will we ever see another Cal Ripken or Derek Jeter?
Nah, I don't think so, man. That's not going to happen.
That's
I mean,
sad.
we didn't think it would happen with Lou Gehrig, right? Cal came along, but I just don't think so.
Darren, Bobby Mack talked a little bit about your time with the Red Sox from 96 to 98, and you talked a little bit about, playing with Mo Vaughn and Greenwell, and Clemens was on those teams, and then Nomar. But you were fortunate enough to play with Pedro in 98. Like, your generation, was he the best pitcher you ever played with or played against? Because I was at the Yankee game at Yankee Stadium, and he struck out 17 guys, and he was throwing just as hard in the ninth inning as he was the first inning. You talk a little bit about Pedro?
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best. On any given night, he can go out there and strike out 17, just like on any given night, Randy Johnson can go out there and Roger Clemens can do the same. So Pedro probably just had a little bit more flair, a little bit more, I guess you would say, intent, but with some fastballs. But Clemens was the same way. Randy was the same way. They all intimidated you any way they could to try to get an edge. But it was fun to be behind a guy with that kind of stuff because you were on your toes as a defender. He was out there throwing strikes, pumping in the zone, and you knew it was going to be a quick game, and you were ready to go. So it was a lot of fun to play behind him.
So that year for the Sox, you hit 279. You know how much that gets you paid nowadays on a playoff team?
Yeah. I mean, look, I have arguments with my mother every night. It's like, why couldn't you wait till you were like 60 to have me? You had me when you were in your 20s. If you had me when you were like, 10 years ago, we'd be all right now. You just getting there. But yeah, it's I'm happy for the players now because they deserve what they get. They really do. Just when you go back years, it's just the same thing. Management trying to keep as much money as they can in their pockets, and then the employees, not getting their fair share. And if you have the ability to get your share, you should go get it. And so I guess the union's taking care of the boys and that end of it, and all the minimums going up, and therefore all the salaries are going up with it.
Okay, that's awesome. Again, that's awesome to hear that side of it because, again, fans get frustrated with many things with sports nowadays. Mm-hmm. I just want to back up with the Sox just a little bit. We're still on your tenure with the Sox. August 24th, 1996, the Fox Saturday afternoon game. You play against your former teammates. And you would face one Randy Johnson in the sun that day with the shadows casting at Fenway Park. Can you tell us a little bit about that afternoon, that experience? And did you have a feeling, before the game you were going to have some luck against the big guy, or was it just that scary?
Fortunately, I had a great relationship with Randy when I was in Seattle, and it's a story that goes back to Seattle, where in spring training we'd have our groups against Loddy BP, and there was a day where our group was facing Randy, and Pinella came up to the group and said, "Bragg, you don't have to hit in this group. I don't want you hitting in this group." And I was like, "Thank you, Lord, I want to hit." But that was what I said on the inside. But the bravado in that sport, on the outside, I said to Randy, I said, "I would have taken you deep anyway. No big deal, right?" And that's what I said to him. So, when I was in Seattle, every time I'd go deep, which wasn't often, but when I did, I'd come back to the dugout and say, "You can't get the cheese by the rat." That was my thing, right? So, during batting practice in Boston, Randy rounding third, hitting in BP. He's like, "All right, we'll see if we can get the cheese by the rat this time." And I was laughing. I said, "Yo, man, I was just joking when I say all that stuff, right?" And just destiny, whatever, however you want to call it. He hung me a slider, and I got so lucky to hit it, man, because I was swinging at that pitch before he even knew he was throwing it. That's how much you had to decide ahead of time to hit him, because you could barely see the ball with the shadows and everything. So it was just fortunate where I trusted myself enough, but to be able to take an approach where I was swinging no matter what.
You had better luck than John Kruk. John Kruk did not like batting. Again, lefty on lefty is no joke against a big unit.
Nah, and the worst part about it is down the road when I was playing for St. Louis, we're in Arizona, and Randy's on the mound, and Tony La Russo's managing, and I know for sure I'm not playing. All year I've never played. We've been platooning against lefties and blah, blah, blah. I show up in Arizona clubhouse and I'm batting second. and I go to La Russo. I say, "Are you fucking crazy, dude?" And he goes, "You're the only one who got a hit off him." He goes, "That's why you're in there." I said, "Yeah, I know. I don't want to face him again." But anyway, Jimenez, our pitcher, ended up throwing a no-hitter that night, and we beat him 1-0.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so it was another little no-hitter story going on. Yeah.
Oh, you've been a part of 2 no-hitters?
Yeah, that I can remember. It might be more, but definitely 2.
Damn, that's awesome. Hey,
and we beat him 1-0. I ended up scoring the winner run. I walked in the 9th and stole second and came around to score on a base hit. So
oh my God, that's cool. I think you wore number 22 in St. Louis, not to be a geek, but one last thing about that homer, because that was a big one for Connecticut sports fan, the Yankee fan, Red Sox fans, and all New England sports fans. That when a local boy hits one that significant, there was a picture at your facility in Thomaston, the Hit Club, which is unbelievable. Did you get somehow like a shot from like the TV camera or something like that? Because there's a picture of you hitting that one from like pretty much the camera angle of the TV.
Yeah, it's actually an old college buddy was at the game sitting in center field, and I had no idea. And like a month or so later, he sent me the pictures and said, "Hey man, I was sitting in center field in that game," and he sent it to me, dude. So I was totally surprised, and it was a great shot that he got because it looked like it was almost professionally done how he had it perfectly,
Darren, I love the fact that you don't disparage the financial success of today's guys. I commend you on that. Obviously, the game has changed a little bit statistically, and they look at the exit velo and the launch angle and stuff like that. Now, I don't want to get too deep into that, but do you like the new rules that MLB instituted this year in terms of the larger bases and things like that?
Pitch clock, etc.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't watched enough of it to judge it whether I like it. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring speed and excitement back into the game, which people love to see. Man, they love to see people stealing bases. They love to see triples. The triples are exciting, man, because if you're in the stands, you can kind of watch. The players getting the cutoff position, the guy running, is he going, is he not? It's usually a bang-bang play, when you're doing triples. So, they're trying to bring it back. I think they made a mistake, and then they juice the balls up, and they bring in fences, and the home runs go, kind of thinking it's going to bring it back. But I really feel like, if they push, like if you look at Baltimore, push the fences back, get some guys in there that can run after and run after and make some great plays in the outfield.
That's fun.
Yeah, and that's fun to watch too. I mean, what do we like? We watch the sports, guys. We want to watch people make great plays. We just don't want to see people hit home runs. We want to see someone making great catches. We love seeing a shortstop, making his plays. But when the outfield doesn't have room to run, or the ball's just going out of the park, there's really no great plays. But they're starting to come back. They're starting to realize, the teams realize, all right, we got to win other ways. Let's push the fences back and try to beat these guys at a game they don't know how to play. And you kind of see what's happening. So I think it's getting back to that kind of brand of baseball. I think in the meantime, they're trying to speed it up by making the bases bigger and keeping the games flowing a little quicker, I guess.
Unfortunately for us Yankee fans, the only team that doesn't seem to be picking up on that theory are the Yanks, with the lack of triples and stolen bases and all that kind of stuff. But that's a story for another day. Go ahead, Bobby.
Well, they say the triple is the most exciting play in baseball. You never see it anymore because of those bandboxes. But and Earl Weaver always used to say that home runs spoiled rallies, right? So I like to hear you say that. Speaking of excitement, you were Mark McGwire's teammate, again, I think wearing number 22 on his 500th homer. I remember watching it on TV. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and Big Mac, what kind of teammate he was? He seems like he's an animal of a coach.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man. My locker actually, it was my first year in St. Louis, so I got the locker next to him, probably because I was the new guy and no one wanted to be next to him. And not because of him, just because every time after a game there was like 30 reporters around and you couldn't even get to your locker until about 30 minutes after the game. But that's what kind of show it was with him, man. This guy had some unbelievable power. Just came off the race with him and Sammy, and batting practice. That's where, that was the show, he was the superstar. I mean, we were walking we were in Pittsburgh and we're sitting at dinner and, the maitre d' comes over to us at the hotel and I was like, excuse me guys, but, when you're done with dinner, Michael Douglas would like you to join him up in his suite. And we're like, what?
Wow.
Because that's what it was. Michael Douglas wanted to meet Mark McGwire. And me and the other two guys, there was three of us, we just went along for the ride. But we ended up, going to Michael Douglas's suite in Pittsburgh because he was doing some movie. And he's a huge sports fan, and we just basically, talk stories for, all night into the morning about sports and different things that we've done. It was a pretty cool night. But people were there to watch him, man, and he's a great guy, and he handled it well, man. It was not an easy thing for anybody to handle, that kind of celebrity status immediately after that home run with Sosa.
Reminds me of the old school movie Wall Street. Like I think Darren's going to be in a remake of Wall Street there. That's crazy, man. What celebrity with McGwire? How about Gwynn's 3000?
Right.
You were there for that?
I don't know. I don't remember when that was. When was it?
99.
Were we playing against San Diego when he got it?
I think you were an opponent when he got his 3000th.
Wow, dude. That would have been special, man. I just, there's so many memories, dude. So blessed and so grateful to be able to be on the field. I mean, part of my favorite stadiums we're playing at were, Fenway, Old Yankee Stadium, Old Tiger Stadium, Wrigley, just for the fact that, the Lou Gehrys and the Ted Williams and all those guys walked through them same clubhouses, the same floors, the same dugouts, and you were just part of that. It was real cool, man.
I just love the fact that it comes through in your stories and your voice, the passion for the history of baseball, and I feel like that's being lost kind of with the newer generation of player and definitely the younger kids. They don't appreciate.
Well, the fans, they don't watch games. Even my own kids who claim to love baseball, they just check the score on their app the next day. How about Tatis's father? You played with him. Is that Fernando Tatis?
Yeah.
I also think, not to put you on the spot with these memories, but he hit 2 grand slams in the same inning. I believe you were on the Cardinals at the time.
Yeah, I was on the base both times.
You were on?
I think. I was on base both times that inning. I think I was hitting second. He might have been hitting fifth or something like that.
Oh my God,
Or
that's cool.
I might have been. I think I actually might have been leading off.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's-
it was. It was pretty remarkable. To be a part of that, dude. It was amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing.
All right, moving along to something I couldn't wait to get to, and I mean, you had a good thing going with the Mets for a minute, but then in the same year, you play for both New York teams, and you get the call to go to Yankee Stadium, and that's the old Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up a Yankee fan, getting that call, going to have those teammates. Can you just take us through that feeling, that experience, and whether those guys big league the new guy or whether you were just welcomed right into the clubhouse for the greater good?
Yeah, it was kind of like, pinch me, is this really going on type of stuff. I knew a few of the guys. I knew a lot of the guys from when I was with the Red Sox. We played against each other 20 sometimes a year. A couple of those guys were my teammates in Seattle with Tino being there. I knew Don Mattingly already ahead of time. So a lot of guys I knew, so I kind of fit in pretty easily. Probably just like the first day I had pinstripes on. I got Jeet, and I said, yo, man, the game was about to start. I said, warmed up in front of the dugout with him, because I always liked as a kid watching the guys in the big leagues be in the front of the dugout before the game and just how easy they made it look, So I wasn't playing that game, but I was making sure I was out there having a catch, just to kind of,
With Jeter?
Yeah, with Jeet, and just kind of bridge that childhood realization dream with that catch. Kind of just was that bridge back to childhood. It didn't really matter who it was. G might ask me, as a matter of fact. I don't even know what order it went in. I was just kind of sitting there. He probably said, "Hey man, let's grab a glove. I need a full couple." So I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have went out there on my own.
Was he that cool? Was he that cool?
Yeah, I mean, look, we were rookies. We were in '95. He was a rookie and I was a rookie, so we came up, and that's when I was with Seattle, and that was that year. So right away, we just, in the '96, I was with the Red Sox. So anytime you're on second base and stuff, I mean, he's a colleague, and we knew each other through that. So it wasn't really just being there. It was, he gets it, man. He really gets it. He gets every part of the game, from playing in New York in the spotlight to doing the things behind the scenes that no one would know, and basically just coming up to a guy like me and saying, "Hey man, how you doing?" And you'd be surprised. Everybody's just normal. Everybody's just human, and they all have the same stuff going on. So he's definitely a top guy, man, for sure.
All right, man. We're not going to drag you through all the rest of these years, but I know with the Braves, Chipper, Andrew Jones, two Hall of Famers. I don't know if Sheffield has a shot. Does he have a shot, you think?
Yeah, he'll probably get there.
His numbers are off the charts, yeah.
Did Sheffield? What was Sheffield like as a teammate? What was he like in BP?
Yeah, he was. I love Jeff because he was like he was the guy that didn't really swing that much. He'd jump in the cage, take 10 swings, and he was ready to go, man. He was. He had some of the quickest hands I've ever seen as far as hitting fastballs. And that whole team, man, that was pretty. It's pretty fun to show up knowing you were going to win. I mean, we never got out of the first round because we lost in Game 5. My 2 years there. To both teams that ended up, the Giants ended up going to the World Series. We lost to them in Game 5, and then we lost to the Cubs the year before in Game 5. But, man, we had some strong teams there, man, with those pitchers, man.
I forgot you were around Maddox and those guys, too. So, as an outfielder, you played with Griffey and Andrew Jones. Two guys that have over 10 Gold Gloves and over 400 home runs each. Can you compare them as center fielders, and is it even a bother? They're just both beasts.
Yeah, they're both. I on top of it. For sure, man. There's really you wouldn't push anybody aside. You know, if you had a choice, you would flip a coin type of stuff as far as who you take. But I played with some great outfielders, man. Even one of the best outfielders I ever probably played with, you know, were the two guys that played right was Larry Walker and Jay Buhner, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys can play the outfield, and Larry Walker could have played center if you asked him to. Jay probably could have when he was younger.
Did Helton play center?
No, he's first.
Oh, he played first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just thinking of lefty.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Darren, you played 11 seasons, almost 1,000 games. Who were some of the biggest influences in your career in the MLB? You already alluded to, you know, the great guys like Jeter and just having a catch and stuff like that. But overall, as you reflect on your career, who really influenced you? And it could be at the high school level, college level, major league level, if you have a few names for us.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think anybody who is just younger, your younger years, your high school coaches, I feel, or you're going to be have the opportunity to make the most impact on a young kid. So, both Joe Branya and Larry Stone definitely pushed the right buttons and were always there when you needed them, even though they gave you the tough love. And then, you know, just random things from random coaches. You know, I can go over their names, but you probably wouldn't remember them. Sure. But it's just, you know, along the way, it was just, you know, just little things they say to you, man. And it was just little things that, you know, would just help your confidence. And, you know, at the time, you know, they really hit you, though. You're like, whoa. Does he really mean that? If he does, then I must be better than I am, because he wouldn't have said that type of stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think it becomes a confident thing in that kind of world. And if you lose it, you better find it back, and you better get it back quick, because if you don't, then someone else is going to be there taking your job. So a lot of it was just a little mention, you know, coaches keeping your confidence up, and those are the coaches you hung around.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So you wrap it up in Cincinnati. Kind of a different experience for you because your career is winding down. Team is on the young side. I believe the Yankees hitting coach Sean Casey's a teammate. I believe Big Adam Dunn was a teammate. Who else was on that Cincinnati team that might have stuck around the game a little bit?
I think Willie Montpena maybe played a few more years after that. Griff was kind of like towards the end of his career with me. You know,
he was there.
Yeah, Griff was there. So he, you know, we're the same age. So he was 35. So I was 35 at the time. So I don't know how many more years he played. I'm trying to think of some young guys that were coming up that would have done some damage. It was a young team there. You know, Larkin was there. But he was pretty much. Yeah, he was pretty much
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Eric Davis. No, he wasn't on that team, but I'm trying to think of who else was on that team. And Austin Kearns. Yeah, I'm trying to think of pitching staff. I'm not sure anybody.
You bring up Griffey and Larkin. I mean, you've played with like probably 15 Hall of Famers, right? I mean, like on the same team with them.
Yeah, it's been pretty, you know, because I played on 9 different teams. I played, you know, with some of the best players in the game at the time. Never played with Bonds. I was, you know, but never with Ricky, but just played against those guys. But yeah, man, you know, there's a lot of pitchers, a lot of position players.
So
it was a lot of fun.
You went into coaching in the minor leagues. And then had a good run with that, with you know, being an instructor and a coach. And now you've moved on from the major league circuit, and you're training people in Australia and New Zealand. How did that come to be? And what's the goal over there? And you know, like, it just seems like a different opportunity that doesn't come along for many people. Like, can you just explain what you're doing?
Yeah, basically, I'm trying to, help them grow a game of baseball that there's people interested over there to play it, and it's just hard for them to get the coaching that helps. It seems easy, however, there's so many details going on with the game that if you're going to try to grow it at a grassroots level, you better know what you're doing. So, the more people they have over there helping them, the quicker that they have a chance to develop. And so they have a lot of players over there. So it's fun to experience and watch these players kind of learn the game, like the basics of the game, man. So try to teach them the right way to play the game.
Darren, we want to thank you for coming on with us. Your Legion friend Rico Bronya has expressed interest in coming on with us. Maybe we get you both in the studio at some point. But thank you. Love to hear your stories. Hope people enjoy hearing them. And the heart of Greater Waterbury, Darren Bragg. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. We appreciate your time.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it, man.
Go Yanks.
Go baseball.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Later, D. Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that was tremendous. Thank you, Darren. Loddy and Mac, cul-de-sac fans.
I can listen to him all day.
Yeah, we got to hang out.
The anecdotes and everything else.
Well, he gets the old stuff, and he's kind of in tune to the new stuff.
Yep.
So, I think it's he's got a good mix of what's going on in professional sports. What went on in the NFL this weekend? I mean, if you ask me who in the AFC goes to the Super Bowl, 99% of people out there are saying Chiefs, Bengals, or Bills. And their combined record, 0-3. And who did they lose to? They must be powerhouses.
Who did they lose to? We know.
The Lions, the Browns, and the Jets. The three biggest laughingstocks in football for the last 15 years.
That's actually true.
Guys, what do you make of what happened this week?
It's everything that the NFL wants. They want parity, right? They want parity, and every year it's something different. I mean, I don't worry too much about KC or Buffalo and teams like that. But what happened on Monday night, whether you like Rodgers, whether you like the Jets, I think it was a blow to the NFL. That really was too bad after 4 plays. But, New England losing is never a bad thing. Giants looked really good on Sunday night. I know we got somebody that wants to talk about that. But like I said, it's parity at its best, and that's what makes the NFL the most watchable and viewable season.
Studio technician Kevin Ross, what'd you think of the Giants' performance? What'd your son Harry think of the Giants' performance on Sunday night?
We laughed mostly. It just couldn't get any worse. Just
It was either that or cry.
Exactly. So I mean, after the first quarter, being what I think we're down 14-0 after the first quarter, and then we had a 7-minute drive that just fell apart, and then the wheels fell off. So when your right guard gets a rating out of 100 of 1.5 in pass blocking, literally he couldn't touch the defender coming at him. There's a whole series of clips where they just run past him multiple times.
He doesn't touch him?
He barely touches them. Yes.
Well, the Cowboys' doomsday D is kind of fast. I mean, one of the best in the NFL.
And they'll still find a way not to make the playoffs.
We make the playoffs.
They
not
make
win
the
after
playoffs. They just don't win a game.
Is that a Browns fan talking over there?
The Dogs are going to at least win 7 games this year.
Oh, bold. You already got one. Only 6 more?
No, they play Crocker's Steel Curtain on Monday night, so
Steelers suck.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Are you sold? Are you sold on the quarterback, Crocker?
Indifferent. He's got a lot to prove.
You got to see more.
What do you think about Monday night, Crocker?
I think Deshaun Watson's probably going to lead him to the promised land, believe it or not.
What do you mean promised land? What does that mean?
7 wins.
Okay.
Maybe a playoff berth.
That'd be 2-0 though.
That would be unheard of.
I can't remember the last time they went 2-0. Definitely Bernie went 2-0 many, many times, but it's been almost a half a century. No,
Hey,
I mean
the
that
Lions
math
have
is
won,
wrong,
what,
but
8 in a
40
row?
years. What?
The Lions have won like eight in a row or more, coming off of last season. They won the last.
Beating Kansas City in Kansas City. I don't care if Kelsey's not playing or not. I'm very surprised by that outcome.
Not only that, but they let both running backs walk. Swift and Williams. They let them both walk.
Yeah, Swift's on Phil. Yeah,
And they
you're right.
beat the Chiefs, dude? All right. Who comes out of – let's have some fun here. Who comes out of the AFC East as the division winner? Jets, Dolphins, Bills, Patriots. Just give me one quick.
Dolphins.
I'm saying Dolphins after last week.
Yeah, 3. I was going to say Dolphins as well.
Who you got?
I was never a 2. I didn't think 2 was that good at first.
I still have
surprised
the
me.
Bills, although I think they're going to have a frustrating year. All right, AFC North, Browns, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers. Who comes out of it? Division winner.
Bengals.
They should, but didn't look great last week.
I'm just going to be the homer. I'll take the Steelers.
I think 10 wins.
Tough.
10 wins wins a. It's just everybody's kind of in the pack there, right, Crocker?
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
I think the fast Browns with Myles Garrett, who looked immense on Sunday.
He did.
And Ward, who hasn't played a lot in the preseason or practiced a lot, activated for the game. You thought he was
I
tremendous.
thought the new D coordinator will help them. It's the Schwartz. He's had some different head coaching jobs along the way.
Power to Schwartz.
Yeah.
Jim Schwartz. AFC South, Jacksonville, Colts. What is this
What
division?
an awful.
Jacksonville, Colts, Texans, Titans. Man,
I'll
Jaguars.
take Lawrence just because everybody else stinks.
Jaguars.
Yeah.
Yep.
AFC West, Raiders 1-0. Everybody else 0-1. Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs.
Chiefs. I want to say the Chargers so bad, but are they ever going to win a big game? I mean, could you win a big game? They haven't won a big game since Muncie was there.
Rivers, though, they were exciting.
They
weren't
were excited, but he was whiny.
It's no different than Fauci.
That's what I'm saying.
They slung it around. They could never win.
That's what I'm saying.
They
Been a
carried him
while.
down the field one time, like to
I'm taking the Chargers.
You taking the Bolts? Okay.
Dude, they're loaded on offense.
If they were still in San Diego, I'd take them. I got a problem with the L.A. Charger thing.
I don't know how that skews you.
They're
but-
all transplants.
NFC
Nobody has
East.
a home team.
NFC East, this one's close to us. Dallas, Skins, Eagles, all 1-0. Giants 0-1. Who
Philly.
comes out of the division?
Philly.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm saying Dallas.
Yeah, without a doubt. They can't mess it up. The defense
Well,
is immense.
and I'm watching this game over there where you guys were talking before, and Eagles are giving up to the Vikings right now. Like,
What's the score?
Yeah, they just took
Is
they're up 13-7 now, Philly.
Yeah, but it was about to, the Eagles were about to score, and he fumbled over the pylon with 30 seconds left in the half for a touchback.
Yeah, but
The
Philly's
Vikings did,
Philly's
so,
up.
like, but-
Studio
over.
technician and former football standout Kevin Ross. Who are you taking in that division? I think you're ignoring the fact
I
that you're
am.
not taking the Giants.
As a Giant
Who you
fan-
taking?
Yeah, let's go.
I'll say Eagles.
How many games does Giants win this year? Real quick.
Flyers.
Giants, how many wins?
5.
No, they're going to win 10 wins.
6.
10. What the? Get out
Last
of
week
here,
was a
man.
fluke.
This is going to be your last week.
All right, we're betting the next cable on that one.
You just keep working the
You're going to
computer.
buy us 5 new cables for this
Just
thing.
stay behind the glass.
NFC
Hey, it's my
North.
team.
NFC North, Packers, Lions 1-0. Bears, Vikings 0-1. Who comes out of it as the division winner?
For me, it's the Lions, but I have a hard time saying it. They were so bad growing up for so long.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell.
I'm going to say Packers. I believe in love.
I'm going Lions. What are you, the Beatles now?
Yeah.
I'm going Lions as well.
Who'd you take?
Lions.
Oh, God, because they won one game? The Pack.
No, I'm on Ra
You're on
St.
King-
Brown, dude. The guy's
Yeah,
a beast,
he's tough.
dude.
He's good.
He's the new Hopkins. NFC South, you've got 3 at 1-0. Falcons, the Baker-led Bucks, New Orleans, and the Panthers 0-1. Who
We'll go
comes out?
Derek Carr and the Saints, I think.
And they squeaked
not a
one
great
out.
division
They
either.
squeaked one out.
Bad division.
Yeah.
They squeaked it out. Who you got, Crocker? Come on, man.
I'm struggling.
I think
I'm going to go Atlanta.
I'm going to take the Baker-led Bucks. I watched most of that game.
I almost did that.
I'm going to tell you something. They've got the most unappreciated fantasy player this season. First of all, Aaron Jones, I think, went way too low in drafts. I was in 5 drafts. Aaron Jones went way too low. Mike Evans became like an afterthought, dude. He's like the top receiver over the past however many years, whether it's 5 or 6 or 7. Like, why? Because Baker's there? You see what they did Sunday? They're a problem.
Because of Bake.
The Browns messed Bake up. You know they did.
I know he had one great year, and then they stopped rolling him out and play action on him and made him a pocket quarterback.
They tried to make him Drew Brees. He ain't that.
He wasn't. You're right.
Studio technician Kevin Ross taking the Bucks. NFC West. Rams 1-0. Niners 1-0. Everyone's taking the Niners.
Yeah.
Arizona, Seattle, both 0-1. Everybody taking the Niners.
Niners the best team in the NFL, I think.
Niners. No doubt.
Yeah, they lost, though.
Who lost?
So something about week one.
They did win.
They killed the Steelers.
Who did play?
Steelers.
The Steelers.
Oh,
killed
no, that's not even a
Thanks for the
They
reminder.
scrimmaged on week
Well, I
one.
thought that was still exhibition.
Yeah.
Should have been. Me too.
They
The
scrimmaged on
season
week
started.
I keep telling myself that.
The thing about week one is these guys don't play football until week one. The Giants had one series with their varsity.
Here we go.
With the
Yeah.
starting
You're still
group.
trying to
Coaches
justify the
Well, I'm
Giants.
just saying. I'm talking
Coaches
football.
fault.
I'm talking football in general.
Okay.
These guys don't go live in practice, so they all of a sudden get out there in a game. It's a preseason game.
Yeah.
You get a lot of you get a lot of turnovers. You get, you just. It's week 3 by the time the teams that are going to come together. Yeah, there's some that are off and running, but I think you never know. Like they make the predictions over the years of teams making the playoffs after going 0-2 or 0-3, and that's changed the last few years. The teams have made the playoffs after not making it.
Agreed.
So,
Do you realize the Cowboys had the same preseason schedule and they won 40-0.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
But to your point, you are
ignoring
right.
Harry.
Some
Harry, are you
organizations
listening?
don't play their starters at all.
Yeah.
for
I
those
wouldn't play
3 or
them
4
at all.
games.
I get the reason, but they're not. These
They're
guys
not
are
used
always
to
ready
game
to play.
speed.
Yeah,
Game speed is just-
changes, and I know that.
Danny Dimes looked ready for game speed.
Poor-
Yeah, all 1
poor
second
kid.
he had to throw the ball. If that.
Parsons
I
actually
felt bad for him.
Parsons felt bad for him. He actually came out and said he's not that bad. He had no old line.
He said that?
Yeah.
Now, where'd Parsons go to school?
He went to the Penn State University in Happy Valley, University Park.
Will you attend a game this year in Happy Valley?
I'm trying like hell to get to the Michigan game on November 11th. I'll keep you posted.
Tough ticket.
If it's okay, will you be in a whiteout? Will you be?
The whiteout is next Saturday night against Iowa. I'm not sure I'll be there that soon, but I'm going to try.
All right.
I got to get to one Michigan game and one Ohio State game in the next 4 years, and I'll be happy.
Okay.
You have to.
In the Valley.
You have to.
In the Valley.
I mean, it's in the Valley. 107,000 people.
All right. Last thing, we're gonna let people go. Great interview with Darren Bragg. I mean, the guy exudes baseball.
We got to get him back on for the hot stove stuff.
He exudes baseball, and then he comes across and says football is his favorite sport. We should ask him about some fantasy stuff. But Don Father
Imagine
back
Mo
next week.
Vaughn like at middle linebacker though.
You know what I was imagining? Mo Vaughn in the low post. I don't care if he's 5'9". Who's moving that guy?
He'd be like meat from Porky's. I mean, he's with the short shorts
He
just
would
down
kill
in there.
He would kill meat from Porky's. He'd be like the meat
This
hook.
Ballbricker will be all over that.
Who was the basketball player called the meat hook?
Oh, that was Lou Hill. Was that Lou Hill from Florida?
Absolutely not. It was from Florida, though. Dimitri Hill?
Dimitri. Why did I say Lou Hill? Yeah, Dimitri Hill.
All right, Lottie's got to go to bed here, guys.
That was the night Danielle missed 2 free throws.
Shut up. All right, guys, just real quick, no thinking. Quickly blurt out your Super Bowl winner after this terrible first week. Go.
Niners.
Cowboys.
Niners.
Cowboys. I'm gonna say Niners just to be.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Niners, Browns.
We
Niners,
are back.
Browns.
Loddy and Mac on the sack, cul-de-sac, Angry Jay, Kamish, Don Father, we miss you. You got to love hitting one into the second deck. It is high, it is far, it is gone, and we are gone. Good night, everybody.